I'll never forgive you. A devil like you should fall straight to hell! Like I said, who are you? I don't even know you. My name is Manabu Ishihara. I'm a 34-year-old business owner. The story I'm about to tell you is from a time that an outrageous person I'd never seen before uncovered a shocking truth. As I just mentioned, I own a business in the IT field. It's not that large of a company, but business has been steady, and I think I'm a little embarrassed to say, but I think I live a pretty affluent life. I live in the top floor of a penthouse of a luxury high-rise apartment, and I live there with my wife Hitomi, who's 3 years younger than me. Considering what I earn, my days are quite busy. I don't have any hobbies, and I'm not able to be home that often. But Hitomi has a lot of her own friends and seems to be enjoying her life too. I'm sorry, all I do is work, and I haven't been able to make time for us.
I married you under the understanding that you're busy, Manabu. More importantly, here, this is a souvenir from the mini vacation I went on. I bought some really great meat, so let's open a bottle of wine and cheers.
That's great. Thank you for always thinking of us. Ever since the day that I met Hitomi, she had good taste. She wasn't exactly the type to stay holed up at home, and it wasn't like I was expecting her to stay at home or do all the chores either. Since I wasn't able to get much done, I loved hearing stories about all of her adventures, and being with her was fun and comforting. But of course, there were times that I wanted to enjoy my own times too, so in times like that, it was my hobby to go to the different cafes. I would go into cafes and coffee shops that looked good, and I would be able to have a cup of coffee and enjoy a brief moment of peace. That day, I had 2 hours open in the afternoon, so I decided to try a new place. That's when I stumbled upon a cafe that looked like it had just opened. When I walked in, the interior was small, but the atmosphere was amazing. And it looks like they put a lot of thought into their coffee beans, so I was excited. I sat down and called the waiter over to order, but... Excuse me, I'd like to order 1 original blend, please. Is something the matter? The young employee, who seemed like he might be a college student age, looked shocked when he saw my face and froze. Huh? We don't know each other, do we? He clearly recognized me, but I was sure that I hadn't seen him before. After freezing for a moment, he said nothing and walked off. I was raking through my mind, wondering if maybe we'd met somewhere before, when... Ouch! Out of nowhere, I felt boiling heat shower me from head to toe. When I came to, I realized that I was freshly poured in coffee.
Sir, are you okay? What the hell are you doing?
The cafe manager heard me and came flying over. He screamed at the employee, who was no longer frozen. With an empty cup of coffee still in his hand, he glared at me. It was clear that he didn't spill it by mistake and that he purposely poured it all over me. Having a complete stranger throw coffee at me like this, I just passed the feeling of anger and I was simply in shock.
Wow, and then what happened?
Nothing. He didn't say a word. All he did was continue to glare at me.
That's so scary. About how old was he?
Probably around 20, give or take. I thought the newer generation had good manners, but that was way out of line. How terrifying.
What an unfortunate disaster. You didn't get burned or hurt, did you?
I was fine. I quickly took my wet clothes off and the cafe manager gave me a towel and cold water.
Well, that's good at least. So in the end, what did you end up doing?
It didn't seem like any good would come of me getting angry or causing any more of a scene, and the cafe manager was so mortified and apologetic that I just let go. He gave me more than enough for dry cleaning and I left.
I see. Well, I guess there's nothing else you could do anyway. But make sure you remember his face. What a dangerous guy.
I will, even though I can't still wrap my head around it.
By the way, have you seen my passport anywhere?
I'm pretty sure I saw it in the bedroom drawer. Are you going on an overseas vacation again?
Well, yeah. I'm going to Monaco this time. I hope you're excited for the souvenirs.
Like I mentioned earlier, Hitomi was not the type to stay holed up and quiet at home. I was also grateful that she was getting out and enjoying her life, but recently I had some concerns regarding that. I'm really glad that you're enjoying your life, but do you think it's been a little too frequent lately? An overseas vacation and a lunch with your friends are very different.
Why not? We have plenty of money to spare anyway. Plus, isn't it our duty to help the economy?
But it's not like we have unlimited money.
Oh, come on, don't be so stingy. It's not like I'm neglecting on taking care of the house either, so you can let me have this, right?
I mean, that's true, you're not neglecting it, but we both know that you're not the one cleaning or doing the laundry.
It doesn't matter who is doing it, though. As long as the house is clean, that's all that matters.
And who does she think she is, paying for that too? But even if we kept this argument going, I knew that it wasn't gonna back down. Alright, fine. Go have fun then.
Thank you. I love you.
But in the end, that guy didn't say a word, and only continued to glare at me. But because the cafe manager was desperately apologizing on his knees, I decided to let it go. The incident was so confusing and weighing down on my mind, but as long as I couldn't remember this guy, there was no point in thinking about it. A few weeks later, every day was busy as usual, and I had completely forgotten that I ever had coffee splashed on me. However, one day after I finished a sales meeting, I decided to stop by a bar and have a glass to blow off some steam. When I walked in, I was shocked to see that the coffee splashing cafe employee was sitting there drinking alcohol. What kind of karma was this? I didn't want to deal with this guy or cause a commotion here, so I just came up with an excuse to leave the bar immediately, but... You're Manabu Ishihara, aren't you? He was one step ahead of me. It looks like he even knew my name, but no matter how many times I looked at him, I had no idea who this guy was. He seemed quite drunk already as he stormed towards me and grabbed me by my collar. And then...
I'll never forgive you! A devil like you should fall straight to hell!
Like I said, who are you? I don't even know you! I lived a pretty affluent life, and since I had some status, it wasn't rare for some people to dislike me. But I'd never been called a devil before, nor could I think of any reason why. I really couldn't understand what was going on, when the next words that came out of his mouth shocked me.
You better let Hitomi free, you abusive predator, you DV monster!
Abusive? Predator? DV for domestic violence? Me? To Hitomi? And why does this guy even know my wife's name? He wasn't just a random angry young guy, this was clearly personal. Let's calm down a bit first and talk about this. If it's not just about me, but it involves my wife, then it's a different story.
Who the hell do you think you are?
My name is Hitomi, 31 years old, a full-time housewife. That being said, I've never actually done any chores though. That's because my husband Manabu is a business owner and he's rich. We can hire a professional to take care of the chores, and thanks to that, I get to spend 24 hours a day however I want to. Shopping and vacations. I get to do whatever I want. Being the housewife of a rich man is the best. Oh, all that suffering was all worth it in the end. I met Manabu at a matching event in town. It was a party that was invitation only, mostly restricted to celebrities and hosted by a rare marriage counseling agency where only the women were required to pay a membership fee. But of course, that was a given. I mean, all of the men were doctors, business owners, entrepreneurs, lawyers, top-class men who offered the most promising futures. Being able to meet men like that was worth every single penny. However, applying for a membership there was extremely hard, and boy did I struggle to get in. If they found out that you were only applying for their money, you would get kicked out. But lo and behold, I won and got a membership, and I was able to get an amazing husband named Manabu. ATM in my hands. This is between you and me. But I have a boyfriend separate from my husband. His name is Yusuke Noda. He's a 22-year-old working a few part-time jobs, but his face is my type, and I just love how he does whatever I say. But even if it's wrong, I have no intention of leaving behind my current lifestyle to be with Yusuke. My husband looks after my life, I get to live freely and do whatever I want, and Yusuke satisfies me in bed. This current situation is perfect. But then...
There's something important I want to talk to you about.
What's wrong?
I want you to leave your husband and be with me.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, I'm confident that I can make you happier than he ever could, I swear. And I'll take care of you and protect you forever, if my life depends on it.
It makes me so happy that you think of me that way, especially since there's no love between me and my husband anymore.
If you're with me, then that will never happen. No matter how many years we spend together, I will never let you spend one moment being sad.
Is that so? Thank you.
Well then, does that mean you'll leave him?
I'm sorry, but that's impossible.
But why?
Because there's a reason that I can't do anything about it. Lately, Yusuke is always like this. Basically, he's become way too serious about me. Like I mentioned earlier, I have no intention of letting go of my current lifestyle whatsoever. More importantly, I'm always paying for all of our dates and all of our hotels. I mean, my husband is paying for them, so he has some nerve asking me to divorce Manabu and be with him. But our chemistry in bed is the best! And I know I keep saying this, but his face is really my type. I felt like it was a waste to let him go now, when I came up with a great idea and decided to put it into action immediately.
What do you mean? A reason you can't do anything about it?
Actually, my husband is really restrictive and harsh. Whenever I meet up with you, it takes a lot for me to hide it from him.
Really?
And plus, his jealousy is really bad too. For example, even if I talk to a male waiter for just an order, he blows up at me.
That's awful.
If I make the smallest mistake around the house, he spends hours yelling at me too.
That's what they call abuse.
At times, he slaps me with full force or even kicks me.
Isn't that crystal clear domestic violence?
I don't know what he might do to me if I brought up a divorce. He has plenty of money, so even if I ran away, I'm sure he'd be able to find me. And more than anything, it might be too dangerous for you too.
But no, this is too much.
I don't know what I would do if I lost you. I wouldn't be able to handle that, so please, I hope you understand.
Hitomi.
That should do. Knowing that something dangerous might happen to himself, I'm sure he won't do anything crazy. I may just be avoiding the situation, and someday I might not be able to hide it anymore, but I'm sure I'll get tired of him or find a better guy and get rid of him either way, so it's not a problem. Anyway, I should be able to maintain my lifestyle as it is for a while like this. I should be allowed to enjoy it as long as I can until one day. Late at night, when my husband was out with work, I got a message from him.
Hey, I have a bit of a suggestion.
A suggestion?
We've hired a housekeeper at home, right?
What about that?
I'm thinking about letting her go.
Huh? What are you saying? Without a housekeeper, who is going to clean that giant house?
Well, you know, I was hoping that you would do it all. I mean, you're a full-time housewife after all.
Are you kidding me? Obviously, that wouldn't be possible.
I'm not telling you to do everything, I'm just saying I want you to be the main person in charge. And I don't mind hiring a housekeeper as support now and then.
Absolutely not!
No matter what?
You're so annoying. Where is this coming from? I'm not going to touch the housework. Never. Making me do the chores. Is this a joke? Even though he doesn't even come home most of the time, I can't believe that he is asking me for such a ridiculous and illogical thing. After all this time, suddenly becoming stingy with money? I was honestly concerned. Could this mean that his business was starting to go down? If we run out of money, then I need to find my next husband ASAP. Maybe I should start looking now. Just find a random rich man and keep him in my back pocket.
This guy who got aggressive with me at the bar was apparently named Yusuke Noda. After listening to him yell at me and finally understanding what he was saying, it looks like my wife was cheating on me with this guy. On top of that, my wife was saying that I was a scumbag that's physically and emotionally abusing her. I was aware that I was always putting everything into my work and leaving her alone, but never in my life have I ever said or done anything to ever hurt my wife. I can easily assume that my wife made it up because she wanted to continue her affair, but also didn't want to get a divorce. It was a smart plan. If she said that she was getting physically abused and was scared for her life, then she could say that she couldn't get a divorce. In any way, I tried to explain to this guy that I'd never even touched my wife in that way. However,
cut it out with the pathetic lies!
Yusuke was so head over heels for my wife that he wouldn't believe a word that I said. To his point, it would be difficult to prove that I was not abusing her in any way. However, a great idea pops into my mind. I know, I'll give you the proof. Although hesitant, he sat down with me as I sent a message to my wife. The content was to tell her that I was going to let our current housekeeper go, and ask her to take care of the housework herself. Just as expected, she refused, but that was exactly as I planned. And that's why I asked her. It was mostly because sitting right next to me and watching every single message back and forth between me and my wife and I was Yusuke. After showing him this, I asked him one more time, "Did you know that we had a full-time housekeeper at the house?"
I didn't know.
You said that she told you if she made any mistakes in the housework at all that I would yell at her endlessly, but first of all, she's never lifted a finger around the apartment since we met.
But that doesn't prove anything.
Well then, let me ask you this. Hitomi said that she's terrified because I'm physically abusing her, right? If I'm treating her like a slave around the house? In that case, do you really think that she would be able to shut down a request from me like this so quickly and boldly? Well, you are clearly in love with Hitomi. You've had quite a few drinks already too. Why don't we talk about this again when you're sober? A few hours later, I got home and opened the front door.
Welcome What?
Meeting me at the front door, my wife's voice and body froze. But of course she did. That's because standing right next to me was her boyfriend and the man she was cheating on me with, Yusuke.
What is this about?
This guy's name is Yusuke, although I'm sure you already know that. We just so happened to get to know each other at the bar earlier, and we just talked about a few things, isn't that right? Yes, and Mr. Manabu is a really good person, and I must admit that I can't possibly imagine him being the type of person to throw domestic violence at his wife. My wife stood there in disbelief, as I explained everything to her, starting from the incident at the cafe up until the messages I sent her a few hours ago, with absolutely nowhere to run and no excuses she could possibly reach for.
I'm sorry.
What is this an apology for? For cheating on me, or accusing me of domestic violence?
Well, you see.
It doesn't matter anyway. You can talk to my lawyer for everything else.
Wait, please, not that.
Do you think you are in any position to negotiate? You better be ready. I'm going to hire the best divorce lawyer around, and I'm going to squeeze you for every single penny.
Please, just listen.
There's nothing more to discuss here. Now, hurry up and get out. And just like that, she was kicked out of the top floor penthouse. In divorce court, my brilliant lawyer did his best and worked hard to make sure the odds were in my favor. Of course, we won the settlement, but combined with the fact that she never even lifted a finger around the house and was spending my money like a leaking faucet, he also made sure that she would be getting close to nothing in the separation of assets. And so Hitomi was left with nothing but a massive settlement fee on her back, and nothing she could say as she left the house. After losing everything, she apparently tried to crawl back to Yusuke, but she was also shot down and kicked out by him. Lastly, as for what happened to Yusuke, I just wanted to apologize for everything that happened. Well, I understand that you are being deceived by my wife too, but this isn't something that can be settled with an apology. You're right. The fact is that you had an affair with my wife knowing that she was married, so I'm planning on collecting a settlement fee from you as well. That is extremely difficult for me, but there's nothing I can do about it. Regardless of the situation, I can't deny what I did. How are you planning on paying it? For a part-time worker like you, it's not going to be cheap. I was thinking that this is a good opportunity for me to find a proper job. I won't be able to pay it all in one payment, but I promise that I will slowly pay it all back to you, and I swear that I won't try to run away or go back on my word. I see. Well then, you should be able to work at my company. What? I had an idea that you could take on a full-time job as my assistant. I will of course pay you a proper salary, and our welfare program is great too. Every month we'll take a small percentage to pay off the settlement, and over the course of a few years you can settle it. How does that sound? This way I don't have to worry about you running away, and I get to hire a trustworthy employee. It's two birds with one stone. I may sound naive, but I couldn't bring myself to put a young man with such a bright future ahead into debt. I wasn't that evil. If I think about it as getting a strong employee, I think I made a pretty good deal. Mr. Manabu, it's an emergency! What? Did something happen? No, well, in the front office, you see, your ex-wife is throwing a tantrum. Huh? I called the security guards, but I thought I should let you know too. Hitomi, who had run out of money, had stormed into our office. He wouldn't listen to me at all, that bastard devil. Give me money. She was screaming and causing a commotion. Hitomi's nature was straight out of a horror movie. The marriage counseling agency that I'd submitted to was a place where only successful men with high salaries could become members. So I was expecting that most of the women had only had their eyes on money, but they insisted that they weeded out the gold diggers in the membership process, and I was deceived by the sweet words when I joined. That's how I met Hitomi. At the time, Hitomi didn't seem to have an ounce of gold digging in her, and she seemed to be a proper lady who had grown up in a city with a good family. Hitomi's parents were in fact working for a very well-known company, and she had graduated from a pretty decent all-girls academy as well. Hitomi didn't grow up with any financial worries, which is why I especially couldn't understand why she would turn out to be a gold digger like this, but that all doesn't matter anymore, nor do I care. I had already explained everything over the affair to my former in-laws, who over the phone said, "We will front the money and settlement fee that our stupid daughter used over the years. We are so truly embarrassed and so sorry." They kept apologizing, and Hitomi was meant to be under her parents' surveillance, working from morning until night to pay them back. But it must have become too hard for her, and she probably ran away and came straight here. If the security guards can't handle it, then you're welcome to call the police. Are you sure you don't need to see her? Of course, she's a stranger to me. More importantly, there's a lot of work left to be done. I need you to make 10 copies of this material. Yes, sir! Yusuke was even more brilliant than I expected. He was a young man that was very well worth the investment. I think it's going to become my new hobby to watch him grow and put him on the path to success.